You've been asking for it, and I have finally made it, a full armor set video. Many of you have been asking for this because you don't like the look of mix sets, and I don't blame you. A lot of them look absolutely terrible, but thanks to LUNASTRA, we finally have a worthwhile full armor set, and it is quite good for a few different weapons. Now, while you might be able to make this full armor set work for every weapon in the game, there are three in particular that will take advantage of this full armor set far more than the rest. That's the bow, the insect glaive, and the dual blades. So we're going to go over the LUNASTRA armor set with these three weapons. Now keep in mind it is very difficult to min-max any weapon build with a full armor set, but the LUNASTRA armor really sets us up for the best case scenario to be able to get high DPS and high survivability with a full armor set better than anything else currently in the game. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, don't forget to show your support and smash that like button. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this equipment. First, we're going to go ahead and go over the bow build because it has the most opportunity to be able to change things up for your personal playstyle. Both the bow and the charm can be swapped out for whatever you want. Right now, we're using the Tear Out the Arrow Blast for a non-elemental build, and we're leaning towards affinity with this build because that is a personal choice of mine. I like to lean towards affinity more than just slamming balls to the walls attack. If you're one of those that love to do that, obviously just swap out for the attack boost charm and socket appropriately for that. But regardless, we are using a full Empress set. We aren't swapping out for any other gear. But right now what we've got is Critical Eye level 4, Health Boost level 3, Weakness Exploit, Peak Performance, and Evade Extender level 3, Wide Range and Tool Specialist level 2, Normal Ammo or Normal Shots and Pierce Shots. Then we got Critical Boost, Special Ammo Boost, and Non-Elemental Boost. Now this would be Special Ammo Boost level 2 if I had another Jewel, and unfortunately I don't. But for those of you that do, obviously this is going to be a Jewel intensive build. So you can swap out the jewels that you have into this build. So we got Pierce Jewel and Force Shot. Now we got Jumping Jewel, which increases our Evade Extender to level 3. You could potentially swap this out for another Critical Boost Jewel if you want, if you don't care about the Evade Extender, to get your Critical Boost a little bit higher. Now also, I do not have a Mighty Bow Jewel in this particular build, so I personally would keep the Evade Extender and swap out this last Critical Boost and go ahead and socket in the Mighty Bow Jewel, and then possibly go ahead and just lean towards attack and forget about the extra affinity. But it would kind of depend on what I was doing in that particular fight. So we've also got the True Shot Jewel, which I would go ahead and swap out this last Expert Jewel for another True Shot Jewel because I like having the extra vitality. Although with a ranged class, it's not really necessary. So this is up kind of your personal choice as well, how you want to socket these three particular jewels here. Now we also have Tenderizer Jewels, 3 of them in this particular build. If you wanted, you can go ahead and use the Tenderizer actual charm if you don't have 3 Tenderizer jewels, but then you're obviously not going to be able to socket affinity or attack, unfortunately. Now we've got a Flawless Jewel in here to get that last level of Flawless to level 3, and then we've got the Elementalist Jewel in here to get that non-elemental boost. Now obviously if you're not using a non-elemental build, you'll have a little bit more leeway with how to socket all of this stuff out. So it really is going to depend on the weapon that you're using on how you're going to jewel all of your equipment. But all in all, it's a really, really good build, and the main benefit of this is actually the boosts that we get from the armor itself, which is LUNASTRA Favor, which increases our stamina cap by 50. And then we've also got LUNASTRA Favor level 4, which shortens the distance before ammo and arrows reach their maximum power. So that is pretty cool. Now, what you can do is when you guys equip this, you'll see that we actually don't get the increased stamina. You're going to have to actually eat a well-done steak or any kind of ration or something like that to increase your stamina all the way up to 200. Now with this build, you will have 200 health and 200 stamina, which is really, really good. Now, the Evade Extender is also really nice on this build, especially for things like Devil Joe, because you can really, dodge quite far with this and be able to set yourself up much better than you otherwise would without more Evade Extender. So that's why I'm keeping the level 3 versus just going for 2, because I do like the ability to dodge and weave as much as I can. Now the damage on this is also pretty decent, considering we're not able to actually fully min-max the build. So this is really for those of you that just want to be able to get a full armor set, you know, not look like hammered ass, and it's pretty darn good. So let's go ahead and go into the actual dual blades now, and that set is actually a little bit better than the bow set, I think. I think this full armor set is really good with the dual blades and the insect glaive. Now for the dual blades, I did decide to actually go for a full Empress set using the Empress Dagger's Ruin. And for these skills, we are using Attack Boost level 4, Health Boost, Weakness Exploit, Peak Performance, and Evade Extender level 3. We've got Critical Boost, Wide Range, and Tool Specialist level 2. We've got a Critical Eye and Flinch Free level 1, and then Affinity Sliding and Protective Polish. Now, for our jewels, obviously all of these builds are going to be very jewel intensive. We do have the 3 Tenderizer jewels in here, so if you need to actually swap out for your necklace for Tenderizer, then you're going to go ahead and have to do that. Now, these 3 jewels here are obviously going to be whatever you want, depending on your personal playstyle, whether you're going for Critical Eye or Attack, but I do like having the increased Vitality to have that level 3 and plus 50 health. Now, we've got a Sharp jewel to basically maintain our white level of sharpness for a very long time. We've got Critical Boost level 2 in here, so we've got 2 Critical Boost jewels. Now, I would swap out for a third one with this Brace jewel if I had it. Unfortunately, I don't, so I like to keep that Flinch Free in there for when I'm playing multiplayer and just don't feel like getting stunned to death by everybody else. Then we've got the Flawless jewel and a Slider jewel in here because I do like using the Heavenly Blade Flurry as much as possible. So getting 30% increased affinity during those Heavenly Blade Flurries can be pretty freaking amazing. Now, obviously, with the increased stamina while using a Dash Juice, we're going to just have an insane amount of uptime in our Demon mode, which is very critical to the dual blades. So I really like this particular build for that, and obviously not being able to be deflected with Mind's Eye is amazing as well. So let's just go ahead and show how long you can actually stay in Demon mode using this particular build. It's pretty ridiculous, honestly. And the Evade Extender is quite nice with the dodges to be able to, dodge and weave as much as possible. Now, this build actually does do quite a bit of damage considering it is not min-maxed. Our peak damage just on these 2 here is 61, well, obviously if we crit, and our final hit is something around like 76, which isn't too bad. Yeah, 61 on those, and if we get a final hit here, 72, okay. But you can see here that we're going to stay in Demon mode for a very long time. I wish I could show off the actual damage from the Heavenly Blade Flurry, but it's just a freaking mess of numbers anyways, so yeah. Obviously, you can see that we stay in Demon mode for a very, very long time with this particular build. Now, last but not least, we are going to cover the Insect Glaive. We are using the Grunge Storm in this particular build, so we are going to be leaning towards Critical Eye to be able to get rid of that negative affinity. Aside from that, all the other skills are pretty much exactly the same. We've only got 1 level of Critical Boost in here because we don't have any jewel slots in the Grunge Storm. We also have Airborne, level 1, and Protective Polish. Now, you can swap out that Airborne jewel for another Critical Boost if you so desire. Obviously, once again, all of these jewels are going to be dependent on your personal playstyle, but for this is about as min-maxed as I could get right now with the jewels that I have, and the damage for it is pretty darn good as well. Now, with that 1 level... Oh, I took out the 1 level of Handicraft, which I did not mean to do. To get this to the white level of Sharpness, you do need 1 level of Handicraft, and that's why I didn't have the Critical Boost in there. That's what I was doing. Handicraft, and let's get rid of that Critical Boost, and so that way we can have the white level of Sharpness, which is going to increase our damage by 10% versus the only 5% damage increase with our critical hits. So we want to get that white level of Sharpness versus just going for the Critical Boost. So let's go ahead and just go over the damage for this on the poll. I like to do this on all the armor reviews, so that way you guys can get a general idea, because it's basically the easiest way to compare damage across all of your weapons and builds, because it's always going to be the same. So let's just go ahead and go over a basic combo here. Now, the nice thing about this is when Cool of Teroth comes back, you're going to maintain your uptime in the air just for a stupid amount of time, which is going to be really helpful when trying to break Cool of Teroth's horns. Obviously, you're not going to want to mid-air dodge as much as you can, so you can at least keep your stamina going. It's really hard to actually maintain that. Obviously, you're going to want to use a Dash Juice as well, but the damage from this is pretty darn good, considering it is a full armor set and we're not able to 100% min-max it like you would be able to do with a mixed set. And I know a lot of people have been looking for the actual just full armor sets because they don't want to look like hammered ass anymore, and that's why I've made this video. I also covered that with the Devil Joe armor with the sword and shield, because I feel like that was just a really good set to be using with the sword and shield in general. But all in all, I feel like these 3 sets are pretty good. Obviously, you're going to be changing things up a little bit depending on your playstyle with the jewels, but I feel like I've min-maxed these pretty good considering it's a full armor set. But I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to show your support and smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!